I'm Mark. This is Wisdom and Knowledge 5, and this week I'm going to break down why the world despises, and I mean despises, Israel, the nation state of Israel, what Israel is doing, the leadership, you name it. Now, when you realize what is really going on in the world, your eyes are completely wide open to the truth. And right now, we are living in times that humanity, that people across the world do not want to see happen, do not want to be, you know, living in. And, people across the world are taking a stand, and some people uh, are indoctrinated into the, ways of the world, the ways of the media, you name it. Well, let's break things down. One thing that is, you know, happening across the world is across the world, people are sick of Israel, sick of what Israel is doing. You know, in the United States, basically, you know, and around the world, the Zionists control just about everything. I mean, they don't control us because we can think for ourselves. We can, get information, get truth ourselves by rejecting the propaganda that they're pushing left and right. And they are doing it left and right they're infiltrating just about everything. So when they infiltrate it, you do your own thing. So, and say, nah, I'm not going to be, affected by that infiltration. I am going to be, sharing the truth, speaking the truth, being a light in this world. And I'm all about humanity and taking a stand for all of humanity. And that is what it takes, you know. And so I just want to break some things down today, share some truths, and let's get to it. This is Wisdom and Knowledge 5. If you have not subscribed yet, subscribe on whatever platform you are watching and listening to this at. I bring on guests, I speak myself, and I'm all about, sharing the truth as to what's really going on in the world and taking a stand and just bringing on, a really great guest to break things down. So here we go. I want to share this right here. Look at this right here. The illusion of choice. These 12 companies together own 550 plus consumer brands. Now, those are just consumer brands right there. And these are all Zionist owned, you know, Zionist owned pro-Israel brands. So basically everything you're buying in the stores, you know, yeah, Zionist owned. And then let's check this out right here. If you don't think you're being infiltrated all around, now this was back in 2023, December 27, 2023. Mark Cuban sold the Dallas Mavericks, the NBA basketball team, to Miriam Adelson, one of the biggest, you know, uh, funders of Trump. Now, I'm not into politics. I'm not into left versus right, this, that, and the other. But you have to, realize that every single thing is being infiltrated, sports, politics, you name it. And this is hands down what it takes is speaking the truth, and sharing the truth. Uh, yeah, like this right here, okay? This is just a prime example. This was, U.S. aid to Israel annually, $3 billion annually. Now, last time I checked, we don't live in Israel. I get a lot of people are pushing the United States of this is the United States of Israel. People are pushing it left and right, and Israel can do no wrong. Well, uh, basically, Israel can do no right. Israel can do no wrong. See, when they push this propaganda, oh, Israel can do no wrong. Israel can do no wrong. No, Israel can do no right. Flip the switch on these bastards and look at this.
Okay, this is what Yahweh promised to Abraham in the Bible. As you can see, it's pretty huge. It's the entire Middle East. It extends from the Nile to the Euphrates in Iraq. Okay, it's a huge area. And if you say the Israelis want to achieve the Greater Israel Project, they call you a conspiracy theorist. Like, we don't want that, okay? But explain two things to me. First of all, why is the Greater Israel map on a chevron of an IDF soldier, okay? These are soldiers, Israeli soldiers, and they wear the insignia of the Greater Israel Project, okay? This is the map. Also, if you look at the flag of Israel, there are two blue lines, right? These represent rivers, the Nile and the Euphrates. All right? So if it's a conspiracy theory, then how do you explain these two things? All right, but I want to argue to, you know what? Pax Judaica, it's not about Israel or the Greater Israel Project. What it is ultimately is an alliance of transnational capital, multinationals like Google and Meta, and intelligence agencies that will be based in Jerusalem, okay? So secret societies will be based in Jerusalem, and they will use it as a headquarters for their global conspiracy. But, and they will profit from chaos and conflict around the world because they think that this is the culmination of the prophecy. But it doesn't necessarily mean that Jews will be in charge. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Okay, so it's a much more complicated idea than people think it is. All right. So where do we get this stupid idea from? Okay, it actually starts with Isaac Newton. So Isaac Newton, you learn about him in physics class, you learn that he's the founder of calculus, you learn about Newtonian mechanics, okay? But actually, these are just side projects of his. That was not his focus. He spent most of his life focusing on reading the Bible to understand the grand plan of God. And he wrote a book called Observations upon the Prophecy of Daniel and the Apocalypse of St. John, okay? That's where his focus was. And he believed he found the Bible code. And he was a member of secret societies. He was a member of the British elite. And if someone like Isaac Newton is telling you, like, this is what the Bible says, and this guy who found a calculus and who developed the 3 laws of motion, you'll probably believe him.
And look at this right here. This is somebody who is a former NCAA basketball coach. He's been pushing his propaganda, and first off, not only that, he's been involved in, illegal actions as a coach. He's there in the studio, for the Final Four, for the March Madness, for the final game, because of course the, media who's showing these games, are Zionists. So they want to bring this Zionist propaganda piece and put him on the stage now during the games, in this studio. So look at this propaganda that he's pushing. And you can do your own research. His name is Bruce Pearl. You can do your own research on him and his legal actions and just where he stands. And another thing about this guy is, and all these people, if you like Israel so much, if you're so pro-Israel, move there immediately. Simple. Move there immediately. Stop speaking this garb and move there immediately. Right away. Anyways, let's get into this, and you can see this right here.
Let's stop talking about a Palestinian state. Let's stop talking about 2 states. There aren't 2 states. There are 22 states, 22 Arab states. There's only one Jewish state. And yes, back in 1948, when the powers that be decided, all right, fine, England is out of here, France is out of here, you guys are crazy, we're just going to go ahead and divide this thing up. Jews, you get the swamp land, Arabs, you get the mountainous land, and we're just going to carve this thing up. The Jews said, that's awful. But you know what? We'll take it, And the Arabs said, you know what? We want it all, from the river to the sea. Since before the state of Israel was born, there was a segment of that population that simply would not live next to a Jew, period. And so they try to kick us out of the land. They try to scare us out of the land. and they've tried to kill us out of the land, and they still are to this day. So stop with the two-state solution.
This guy is full of, complete garbage. He's full of lies. This guy is full of hatred. We as humanity, we're, pro peace, we're pro, human rights for everyone, and for this guy to push this propaganda is just completely insane, so. And I want to bring something else up just to give you a little backstory on this guy, and then you'll see exactly, just some of the things that, he's been involved in throughout his career, and this is not even him speaking out his rhetoric, and they use other people too. They use so many people to push this rhetoric, and so many people are waking up and saying, nah, we despise this, yeah.
Everybody's mad at Bruce Pearl right now, and that is not the first time that has happened to him in college basketball. There was a period of time where he was basically shunned from the sport, so let me explain his background and why everybody's mad at him. So in the 90s, Bruce Pearl's first big job out of college was an assistant at Iowa, and he really wanted Deon Thomas from Chicago to come play for Iowa. Thomas chose Illinois over Iowa, and in his recruiting process, the reason he said he did not choose Iowa is because his grandma was like, there is something off with Bruce Pearl. I do not trust him. And her instincts ended up being incredibly correct because Bruce Pearl was not happy that he chose Illinois over Iowa. So Bruce Pearl called him a bunch of times in a 2-day period and basically kind of entrapped him into saying that Illinois gave him illegal benefits to come play for Illinois. Thomas had no clue that Bruce Pearl was recording that phone call. He then sent that recording to the NCAA and was like, hey, I think Illinois is cheating. The NCAA did not end up finding anything that confirmed what this phone call said, but Deon Thomas, despite that, had to sit out an entire season due to this investigation. And Illinois as a program took some major hits because of this. They ended up having to self-report a couple violations that caused them to lose scholarships and eligibility, and it really did impact Thomas and this Illinois team. And they will let a lot of things slide in college basketball, in college sports in general, except for a snitch. And so everyone was like, well, we don't really trust this guy. So he could not get another D1 job, ended up going to be the head coach at Division II, Southern Indiana. He was there almost 10 years. He won national championships, and it was just sort of the question of, will anyone look past the snitching scandal and give him a D1 job, which did happen. He went to Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and then ended up at Tennessee after. And he was well liked at Tennessee. Bruce Pearl is a charismatic guy. He has a big personality. His big moment was going to a women's basketball game and taking his shirt off in the student section. People liked Bruce Pearl, except for that he committed NCAA violations. And they were not serious violations. Basically, he had a barbecue, invited recruits to it. He wasn't supposed to do that. Honestly, not that big of a deal, except for that he lied to the NCAA about it. And when you already have a reputation, it's probably not a good idea to lie to the NCAA. So he was fired at Tennessee and given a show cause. And Auburn was like, we don't care about a show cause. They hired him, waited 3 months for the show cause to officially end, and then he was head coach of Auburn. Things were really chill at Auburn until a couple years in, several of his coaches were charged in an FBI investigation for fraud and bribery. Bruce Pearl was not indicted on any of that, and it ended up meaning nothing. He stayed at Auburn for several more years after. Until this previous offseason where Bruce Pearl retired.
Now, this guy could just very well be just an inhumane prick, maybe not any violation, but it shows that, all these people who are Zionists, and it's not anti-Semitism, it is Zion. When you break it down, it is the ones who are pro-Zionism, the Zionists, who are just complete scum. When they say, and this guy's tweeted out against, Palestine, and you saw in the video that I showed you before that. And it goes much further than just one guy, than just this guy. And I don't want to focus my attention on this one guy. He's just a propaganda piece being used. And it just shows that in these videos coming out, these, people exposing just how these people are, that's what it takes. Grassroots effort by all of us. And here's something else right here. If you look at this. Zionists. They're all Zionist Israel, and that's why you don't see, what's really going on with the war, the Israel war, because it's not the Iran war. And that's why you see them saying Iran war, Iran war, Iran war, Iran. No, no, it's the Israel war. It's not the Iran war, and we get it. People across the world get it. People are sick of this. When you look at all these Zionists across the world, the Bill Gates, the leader of Palantir, the Albert Bourla, the CEO of uh, Pfizer, all these, Oracle, Larry Ellison, Oracle, all Zionist, all trying to, wreak havoc on humanity, to bring it into a George Orwell 1984 state, so to speak. You name it, trying to rank all these people out there, these corporations, trying to, destroy the food supply, trying to do this, that, and the other. You name it. They're all Zionists. And when you realize that, and many people across the world have. And, I don't know what it's going to take here because, yes, people are speaking out, but, you know, so many people are just complacent and buying into the media and buying into the propaganda. But there's a lot of people who are sick of it, a ton, a massive amount of people who are sick of it. So we will see what happens. Anyways, for Wisdom and Knowledge 5, I am Mark. Be sure to subscribe if you are not subscribed already. And, share things out when not only this, but when you see something that's going on that's wrong, when you see, videos, whether it be Instagram or whether it be posts on social media that are sharing truth, share them far and wide because that's what it takes. That's what it takes us being a light in this world. Because we're pro-humanity, they are inhumane, so they do not care about humanity. Much love to everyone standing for peace, standing for human rights, standing for what is right in this world. Peace.